witness it this way. Think about meditation this morning, not medication. I just took my vitamins and my blood pressure pill. Meditation. I'm going to tell you a little story. I started meditating back in 2021, January 2021. Ironically, I watched Bridgerton. There's a Bridgerton trend going around just now. And it's a long story. I'm going to make it short for you. I was in Scotland looking after my father-in-law, and this was during pandemic times. And I was so stressed. I was super stressed. I was having trouble sleeping probably for like the first time in my life. So I tried meditation just on just that I found here on YouTube. There's lots of great ones out there. But I want to talk to you about something that I just discovered last night. This is fresh out of my discovery mode, and my eyes are red. It's 7:44. I woke up about 6 this morning. My body clock wakes me up about 6 every morning. So I woke up this morning from probably the most terrible dream I've ever had in my life. It was actually, it was so bad that I had to like sit up. I had been crying in my sleep. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Crying in my sleep. The dream was totally unrealistic, but it felt so real. It felt so real, this dream. I got up, I went to the bathroom, I washed my face, and I came back, laid back down in the bed, and I was sobbing. I was like, I was still crying. There were still tears coming out. And I started to sob, and I kind of like, have you ever choked, sobbed? That's what was happening. It was a terrifying dream. Anyway, thankfully it was just a dream. Thankfully I woke up. And Morton, I'm not the kind of person well, sometimes I do wake Morton up if I have a bad dream, because from the time I was a little girl, if I would have a bad dream, which I didn't hardly ever have them. I can remember one that I had. This is going to be a tear of joy that I remember this one. I was young. My mom had just got an Electrolux vacuum, the kind that was a canister that you pulled along, that kind of vacuum. And I can remember looking at it like, this is so weird looking. I don't know what she had before that. I guess it was the same, but this new vacuum. To me, it looked like a robot that was laying on its side. And I do remember it must have been around Halloween, because around Halloween, Wizard of Oz would be on television sometimes. This is back in the olden days when you couldn't pick what you wanted to watch on TV. So I had just seen The Wizard of Oz, and it's funny now because I truly do love that movie, but it terrified me. And I remember that night, I had this dream, and it was that vacuum that my mom had bought, and the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West, was riding on that vacuum. And I was trying to tell my mom that the witch was riding on the vacuum. So I went and I told my mom that dream. I've never forgotten it. And gosh, that has to be, it was like probably 50 years ago, at least more. But anyway, last night's dream. So this morning, I go in and I was, like trying to get myself under control. And Morton said, "What's wrong?" Like, I just had a really weird dream. And I'm like, it was very emotional. And I woke up crying. And Morton and I just, like, we talked. And I know, like, he's back to sleep at 7:48. Morton does not wake up at 6 a.m. So, but I wanted to go back to sleep. And I didn't want to pick my phone up because I think too many times we pick our phone up. So I started thinking, when did this habit start that we started picking our phones up? And I started to think about that. And like in my personal me. And I started to think, like, when did I start picking my phone up? And it wasn't until I had, you know, a smartphone that I started picking my phone up first thing in the morning. Never did that. So I purposely didn't pick it up, even though I wanted to pick it up. I did not pick my phone up. You know, I like to sleep with meditation. I know I could do this. So, and I'm sorry, my hair is not brushed. I just came right in here to start writing and working and whatnot. And then I thought, well, it was fresh in my mind. I wanted to share it with you. Because maybe you can relate. I don't know. Maybe you, I don't know. I kind of feel like we're just connected. Anyway, I'm laying there and I'm trying to meditate. And I'm thinking, when I meditate, I typically close my eyes and I try to find my breath. That's the only thing I'm thinking about my breath. So I'm taking my breaths and I'm trying to feel my breaths, and it wasn't working. I just kept thinking about my phone. I kept thinking about social media. I kept thinking about, like, friends that are we really friends? Do we really know? Do you really know somebody? And I'm thinking about, like, you know, there are people that I do think about that I have never met, I will never meet, but I still take an interest in their life. I have a couple people that I know through social media that, you know, like when they're like, there's somebody she's like this incredible glass mirroring maker, and she's just at this thing in Germany, and I was catching up with her social media and thinking about that stuff. And I was thinking, just my mind was not quiet enough to meditate. And it was all because I was trying to not think about the dream. I was trying to not think about the dream. Have you ever done that? You're trying to not think about something, so you're putting in every kind of notion you can think of. What was the recipe for grandma's whatever? That's where I was. So, but I really wanted to meditate. My goal was fall back asleep, wake up with a lovely dream, because typically I have lovely dreams. And this wasn't like a nightmare as zombie apocalypse or whatnot. This was like an emotional bad dream, because it was something that could happen. It could happen. And so I started meditating again, only this time, this is the important part. This is the important part. I told you that to tell you this thing. So I started meditating and I'm laying back. I'll pretend I'm doing this just now. I'm not really going to meditate. I'm laying back and feel my breath. So I put my hand here. I put my hand right here. And I'm breathing. And like right now, I can't feel it. Heart like bump. Or I thought I did, just once. Hopefully my heart's beating more than once. So I'm laying there and I'm thinking, you know, my heart's like right there with my lungs. This stuff's all connected. I'm a big believer in connection. I think we're all connected. I really do. I believe we're all connected. So I'm laying there, hand on my heart, or where I think my heart is, where Morton's scar is. That's where my hand was. And I just started to breathe again. Only this time when I started to breathe for my meditation, I mean, I had been breathing all along, mindfully breathing. So I started feeling like focus on my breath. I started to focus on my heart. And when I started to focus on my heart, it was like this, I can only describe this like this warm glow feeling you get from a hug from somebody you love. Not like a hug from somebody you haven't seen in a, well, it could be from somebody, like a hug from somebody you really, really love. And maybe that will never hug you again. And that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like a hug, like from my mom, because the dream that I just told you about, my Wizard of Oz and Electrolux canister vacuum dream, that was one of the thoughts that popped into my mind. This might sound like a rambling rant. This might sound like a rambling rant, but this was like a big, kind of like, could it be this easy moment? You know, they talk about life hacks and things like, oh, I was however many today years old when I found this out. This is how I felt this morning. Hand on my heart, breathing in, and it's not going to happen now because I'm not in that moment. But I just felt this warm hug, and it wasn't like it, this was like a tangible feeling. And I started thinking about, I didn't want to open my eyes. I'm thinking, is Morton hugging me? Which Morton pushed his back up to me. And so we were really close on the bed, but this wasn't like that. This was like a hug feeling, a lovely hug. And then I started to just think about people that are no longer in my life, that are gone, my parents and my grandma and my Aunt Gladys for a weird reason. And I do remember hugging her. I don't remember if she had especially good hugs, but I can remember hugging her when I was a kid. And I haven't seen, well, she passed away when I lived in Scotland, but I haven't seen her since I was probably a teenager. Anyway, I'm breathing, I'm getting hugged, and I start thinking about who's hugging me. And it was almost like a north, south, east, west kind of feeling on my heart and on my body, where it was like my mom, my dad, my grandma, my Aunt Gladys of all people, and my Aunt G. She was a hoot. She was my dad's little sister. And I start thinking about maybe instead of looking to fill up my lungs with when I'm meditating, maybe I ought to look to my heart. Maybe I need to like focus on my heart. So I just started doing the breathing, the heart breathing, and all of that, like the sadness from my bad dream, just left. It just left. And I'm thinking, oh, earlier I was thinking, I'm going to carry this around. This is going to be like that Electrolux dream. I'm going to always remember the sadness and the pain from that dream, which, I mean, life has enough pain at it, right? And I didn't want to, yeah. I don't want to remember this dream, but yet I still kind of do want to remember it, because I think this is like a little pivotal moment kind of feel for me. So that's where I am. I'm going to try purposely. It took away, it physically made me feel lighter, and it made me feel like I was getting hugged. So tonight I'm going to meditate before I go to bed, and I'm going to put my hand up over my heart, or where I think my heart is, and just breathe into my heart. And I am a creature of love. I am a creature of love. And it can be hard in this kind of world to be a creature of love, because when you are, you get your feelings hurt easily. You get, you take on like other people's, almost like other people's pain, you know, because you want to fix, I want to fix things. I just want, I love happiness and I love love. And I think love is definitely the key for me. So I'm gonna try it. And if you meditate, maybe it's something you want to try too. Maybe you've already done this. Maybe I'm like to the party late. Maybe I just don't realize like this lining your, like the intention of breathing, something we do all the time, but the intention of that, just focusing on your, you know, our heart. So, good morning. I hope you had a good night's sleep, or whatever time of the day it is that you're seeing this. And then, after all of this, then, I did not fall back asleep. And I just kind of appreciated the fact that I felt this, like a lightness, like a peaceful feeling. Then I picked my phone up. And then I looked at my personal messages first, my phone messages, and I had this beautiful, beautiful picture from my sister. They're out in Yellowstone right now. Morton and I were going to be there, but my pulmonary embolism stopped me from going on this trip. And it was a picture, and she just said, "It's snowing." And it was snowing. And they're in Wyoming, and it was just this beautiful, wonderful way to wake up. And then I realized, like, our phones are not a bad thing. Our phones are a good thing to keep us connected. But this is what it's all about. It's what we're connecting to. I can remember my dad, back when we first got television, my dad said there were so many shows we wouldn't watch. So many we couldn't watch, just because my dad would say, he truthfully said, that'll rot your brain. And he said, once you put it in your head, you can't get it out of your head. And I'm thinking that's kind of how our phones are, and that can be how things are that we get a hold of on the internet, and in this day of getting globally connected with all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, it's just, oh, Mary Poppins, that's lovely. I've felt before in a dream there was a man with gray hair, and he was just full of love, and it was a wonderful feeling. That's lovely. And good morning, Michelle. Good morning, everybody who's on here listening to me ramble on about this. But have you ever told somebody like a joke or a story afterwards, and you just feel like, I don't think they understood that. I think you're going to understand what I'm talking about. I think we've all had a dream that has just been so real that we can't explain, whether it makes us happy, sad, whatever. I think we can all relate to, what are we grabbing our phones for? How early in the morning do we grab our phones? Is it the first thing we do? I did brush my teeth this morning. I didn't have a shower yet because I'm going to go out for a swim, I think. But just, yeah, these weird things. It's weird how our minds work. And I think social media is a great thing. I have a friend who, I didn't mean this to be story time, sorry. I have a friend that I was thinking about. The morning meditation has been not a meditation, Michelle. It's just been me talking about, like, I connected this morning with myself during meditation, and I just shared that. But I was thinking, when I was coming back from brushing my teeth, I was walking and just thinking, like, oh, my knee's feeling better. Like, moving is such a good thing. Looking after ourselves, it's so important. It's the most important thing we can do. It's inevitable that we are all going to have a last day here. It's inevitable. But the thing is it's important if we're here now, what, yeah, what's happening, what we're doing. Are we happy? I think at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. I think I hear Morton getting up. I think I do. It's hard to hear in this house. You can hear a lot better in the church. But yeah, I was thinking about a friend of mine who passed away 2 years ago, and she had severe diabetes, did not know this, went in with pain in her leg, and it was to the point, not then that day, but over the next 6 months, she lost her legs. She had to go into a wheelchair. She got a prosthetic, I don't know the word. You know what I mean? The leg prosthetic. That's it, maybe. I don't know all these words. Anyway, she was just so wonderful, full of life, and we'd been friends for, oh gosh, decades, 30 years. And yeah, and she used to say to me, don't ever complain about your knee pain. At least you have a knee, because they had to take her leg off above her knee. And yeah, I need to be way more grateful than I am, and way more working on myself every day. I gotta quit worrying about anything else. My dad and mom both kind of thought, they kind of raised us to like worry about others and, help others. Don't be selfish, help others, which I want to do. But I think it's like the oxygen mask theory. When you're on a plane and the oxygen mask drops, put yours on before you put on somebody that's accompanying you. So I gotta save myself. And we're taught maybe that's the selfish approach, but I gotta do it. I want to get as physically fit as possible. So yeah. And meditation, I think, is one of these ways that it's something we can all do immediately now, because if we get our heads right, I think our bodies do follow. I think our minds are way more, there's so much more they're capable of than what we just give them. So I'm gonna be feeding my mind with lots of good stuff and meditation and all that good stuff in it too. So I'm gonna jump off. I'm hearing noises out there. I want to go see who's out there. And I hope you have a beautiful Monday. I hope you don't have any bad dreams, but if you do, try my little trick. Hand on heart, and with my hand on my heart, I hope that it helps you. And I hope you have the most beautiful Monday ever. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.